Hi, this is Tranisha Cottrell, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome to First Love Yourself, where love, life, and Christ combine. I am so grateful to have you be a part of this journey of self discovery and empowerment. In today's video, this is just going to be like a rant, but really, let's just go ahead and throw a topic in there. It's going to be about being an example. But before we get started, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. I had to do it that way. That's like my thing now. So it's become a whole intro. And so so get comfortable because we are about to get into it. Let's go. So what made me think about being an example is, in life, you have this idea of who you think you're going to be and how you think life is going to go. You got this whole plan. You like, when I do this, I'm going to end up like this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be this way, and life just kind of has its own plans. God has his own plans for how life is going to go. And I'm not saying that everything is God. Not everything bad is the adversary. Not everything good is God. Sometimes God would allow you to be tested so he can see where he needs to strengthen you in an area so that you could become stronger, so that you can make it to the next level. Sometimes it'll be the adversary, and he'll do things because he wants to make you fall short. And I don't mean, oh, okay, I knew that was going to happen because I ain't put the backs on those earrings. But I was hoping it would stay for the video, but it didn't. That's okay. We're going to put it back in, and hopefully it lasts a little longer this time. I'm going to just have to not move as often. But anyways, yeah, that's what I look like without earrings. So you got to see that today. But yeah, sometimes it'll be something like the adversary will test you just to see if he can make you fall, bend to his will, see if you're really about that God life or not. And as I'm living life, I'm doing the things that I got to do. I might have to keep holding it or something because it's not going to stay without the backs on there. But I'm going to have to go like this and not move my head at all. I have to barely be able to do any movement. This is like the stillest you're going to see me be in any video ever because of the earrings. And so, what it's so funny because life is just so unexpected, and you could think I'm just going to be single forever. You could think I'm just going to do this in life. I'm going to go this place. I'm going to be so on it. I'm going to do all the right things. Nothing's ever going to go wrong. I'm just going to be perfect, and only God's perfect. You realize surely that you really have to be about it. You can't just pretend like you got it all together. You have to be willing to do the things that are imperfect and be your best, regardless of what happens. Sometimes we have this idea in our head of how perfect we want to be. We don't allow ourselves or give ourselves enough grace to make mistakes. But the best thing that you can do in life is fail and make mistakes, because that's where you learn. That's where you take the lesson from everything that you're going through in life. And for me in this season, although I'm not perfect, I want to be an example for my younger nieces, nephews, or, whoever else. I want to make sure that the younger family members, that my daughter, that people that look up to me or that see me as a good example. And I don't want to be an idol in anyone's eyes at all. I want to be just me. But I also want to show them how to be a lady. I want to show them how to carry themselves with dignity and self-respect. I want to teach them how to really love themselves. I don't want them to just put up with or settle for anything. I want them to know that they are worthy to be treated the best, to be treated the way that God intended for them to be treated and nothing less. I don't ever want them to doubt themselves or to feel like they have to second guess the moves that they're making in life, because if they're doing their best, they're doing everything that they need to do. And for me in this season, I'm just feeling like, okay, God, am I being pleasing to you? That's like my biggest question. That's my biggest challenge in the season, because I'm getting things in my life that I didn't think or expect to have. And I just want to make sure that I stay focused on God regardless. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm making God pleased. I'm pleasing God. That when people see me, they can see the Christ likeness in me. That when people see me, they know that I'm really about that God life. Sorry. And so they're willing to see me as my imperfect self, but also know that I'm striving to be better, and that it's okay not to be perfect, that you just have to be willing to seek God first above everything else. What's that saying in the Bible? Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all will be given unto you according to his purpose. So that's what I'm trying to do in life. I'm trying to live in a way that's pleasing to God, that in a way that I respect and honor myself. I don't want to ever feel like I'm diminishing my capacity or lowering myself to be pleasing to anyone else but God. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things, that my image is not scratched or, tarnished. I want to make sure that, especially on this platform, that when people see me, they see a person that's trying. I don't ever want them to see me as perfect, but I want them to know, hey, I'm a flawed individual, but I still want the best for everybody else. I still want people to be good. I still want people to do good. And sometimes it's hard. I really have challenges in my life. And sometimes when you're going through it alone and nobody else is going on that journey with you or through the whole process with you, it feels like, sometimes, some days people going to really get on me for this, but some days I really feel like it's easier just to do the wrong thing. But then I think about how I used to live when I used to do wrong, how I used to feel so confused, how nothing fulfilled me, how I kept looking for something that was going to make me feel less empty everywhere, and nothing filled the spot of God. And I realized it's better for me to live life with God than to live life without God and be empty. Or to, I always say this thing to myself and it helps keep me on track. I say, what's the alternative? Whenever I say it, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely don't want to go back to living empty. I definitely don't want to go back to feeling confused. I definitely don't want to go back to feeling sad and disappointed or hurt every single day. I want to live a life of fullness. I want to live a life of peace, of God's grace and his mercy. I have that every day I'm breathing, but I also don't get peace or joy, but with God. That's the only way I can experience those things. And today, as I was thinking about my life, I was just like, God, am I doing the right thing? Am I okay? Is this okay in this season of my life? Is it okay for me to do this thing, to be in this place, to have this person, place, or thing in my life? Is that okay with you? I want to make sure that every decision I'm making is glorifying the kingdom. And I feel so conflicted on some of the decisions that I make because, sometimes you want things so badly that you want them, but it might not be what God wants for you. And sometimes I just feel like, oh my gosh, I just really like the one guy a long time ago. It was like I wanted him so badly. I was willing to just neglect my own intuition to just try to give it a shot, to give him an opportunity or the benefit of the doubt, even though I knew deep down that he was not the one and he was not supposed to be a part of my life in that way. And in my head, like the girl side of me was like, oh, but maybe we could be like kindred spirits. Because we both were on this faith journey at the same time. We both love God. But just because somebody loves God does not mean that they're supposed to be for you. You could both love God and that could not be the person for you at all. You could both go to church, and just because you go to church does not mean they have God's characteristic traits or that they have a relationship with God. That just means they attend church. Like, I don't know what got in my spirit to make me say that, but I feel like that's important and maybe it'll help somebody. Because in the beginning of the single journey, I really felt like that was so important. And I quickly learned that it really doesn't matter if they attend church or not. It matters that they have a relationship with God. I'm not saying they should never go to church or anything like that. I'm just saying, because, I'm not going to be that person that tells you what you need to do. God's the person that needs to tell you that advice. But I just want you to know, if you brand spanking new in this single game or whatever area of your life you're in, what I learned in my single season, and man, definitely, just because you're both Christian does not mean anything. Just because you both attend church does not mean anything. Just because you do similar things does not mean anything. Just because they seem like a kind person does not mean anything. What matters is that they have a relationship with God, if you're looking for someone that's equally yoked, because it's biblical. And it also matters that this person's core values, characteristic traits are align with yours, that you both want similar things for the future, that your purposes align. And for me, it's so funny because I'm going to say this and people are going to be so mad, but I feel like it's important to say because this is what I experienced. I really met so many Christian men, and none of them were intentional. None of them were persistent or, any of those things that biblically they should be. I probably wasn't any of the things that I biblically should be. Like, I didn't have patience in the beginning. I've always been kind, but I have really struggled with patience. I wasn't, trying not to be self seeking. I was being real selfish and things like that in the past. And, I'm not saying that I expect Christian men to be perfect, but in my experience in the single season, I had met not one Christian man who was intentional, who was consistent, but that could just mean that I just wasn't the person for them. I'm not saying it to dog these men out or anything like that, but yet I could meet a guy who is not Christian, who is intentional, pursuant, who is all of the things that align with the Bible. It just blows my mind, really, truly. And I think that you really have to say, okay, God, I need your help. Like for me, I need God's guidance. I need Him to help me discern. I need Him to help me have the things in my life that are supposed to be there and remove the things from my life that are not supposed to be there. I literally don't want anything unless God is attached to it because I know what it's like to be in a situation where God is not in it. And sometimes when you're getting on each other's nerves, when things are going wrong, when I'm not perfect and I make mistakes, sometimes that person has to have the grace that God gave them to be able to see me as a human being instead of expecting me to be perfect. Sometimes it's going to take the strength of God for them to stick in it. And that's one of those things that is, I'm just really like, okay, God, whew, I'm gonna try not to get too deep. I just want to be pleasing to God. Main point. And I know this was more like a rant than an educational video or whatever else, but I hope that this resonated with someone else and maybe you're experiencing these things. And at least, if nothing else, you're not alone. Like, that's my main goal, is to make sure no woman or man ever feels alone. I want you to know that no person is ever going to be perfect. That's only God's responsibility. I want you to know that just because you have a few things in common does not make that person the person for you. Just because you want that person to like you does not mean you can make them like you. Everybody has free will. And it's not your duty, your job, or your responsibility to make anybody see your worth. You have to see your worth. I think it's important for you to know who and whose you are and to know what you will and will not tolerate, what you will do and what you won't do. You have to know how to respect and honor yourself and honor and respect God in everything that you're doing. And I'm not saying you're perfect, but you're trying, and that's good enough. So keep trying, stay focused, seek God first above everything else, and all His righteousness, and all the things that you ask will be given unto you according to His promise, according to His purpose. So I know I just be messing up and y'all just be sticking with me, and I appreciate it. I really do. But go ahead and hit that thumbs up so you don't miss out on more uplifting, empowering content, or you don't miss out on this, what's going on right now, where you actually don't feel alone and you know that you don't have to walk through this journey by yourself. I'm here with you. I'm here making mistakes, learning from my mistakes, growing, becoming a better person just like you. And I think it's important for us to know that we're not alone. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Have an amazing Monday, because no matter what happened today, you still got the rest of the week. Every time you have another minute, another second, you have another opportunity to do better. So use it so that you can be better and do better.